Hello and welcome to the draft of RLIS Season 3. Thank you all for joining us on this Saturday afternoon, and we are in for an incredibly exciting draft. I'm Rez, I'm going to be hosting things today, and I'm joined by a plethora of different managers. I'll start by talking to you, Enwrong. Just how excited are you for the start of the season?
Yeah, I'm very excited. RLIS is just amazing, really. The whole server is hyped. I'm hyped. I feed off their hype, and I'm really looking forward to it. It's going to be a good stream, and yeah, can't wait to reveal the teams that are going to dominate each of their respective tiers.
Yeah, we had a fantastic season last time out with the six orgs, but this time it's even bigger. We have had more than 90 sign-ups for this season, allowing us to have seven organisations in three of the tiers and 10 in the others. It's incredible what can happen when we're stuck in quarantine, isn't it?
Yeah, absolutely. It's amazing how many people actually will play video games when we're stuck inside. Although I went outside today, there, Res, to the shops, as you well know, and there is about 100,000 people outside in Cork City, so clearly it's not working for everyone. But it's good to see that the gamers are staying inside and enjoying a nice bit of RLIS.
Absolutely. So to begin things today, we are going to take a quick look back at the affairs that went on last season. So obviously, we had a good time out last season with three of the managers returning to have another whirl at it this time round. Those being Enwrong, LovelyCans, and Ryan and Enwrong obviously making their third appearance on the RLIS scene. It's definitely an exciting one. Let's take a look back at what happened last time out. So here we are. This is having a look at the All-Star Division. This was the top division last time out in Season 2. We saw the Saints take down Nafina in the final, 4 games to 2 to win that. That was Red Eyes, Little Dude and Aidan taking home the crown. That was an incredible performance from them, and do you think that Red Eyes, Little Dude and Aidan will all be hoping to continue that form into next season, Enron?
I think two of them will, yes, because of the tier that they're in. One of them he'll be looking to win a different tier, but we'll have to just pause and see. Unfortunately, Red Eyes is almost like a guaranteed ticket to win any sort of online tournament. So he always has my backing no matter who's on his team.
Yeah, obviously Red Eyes, the only player to have won both seasons of RLIS, which just shows why he is the number one online player in RLI. But there is much more stiff challenge this season, which is going to make life suddenly a little bit more tricky for him. Looking down into the shooting star tier, we saw Satanta take down Nafina in a 4-0 sweep. That was what absolutely decimated Carrick Dan's hopes of becoming manager of the season. LTX Sam's organisation, Satanta, LTX Sam won the manager of the season award, and it was came as a big part of his Satanta team in Shooting Star, winning that. That was Naylor, Dormer, and Zexel. Looking down into Rising Star now, we saw Satanta and the Banshees face off in the final, and Satanta came out on top again there with Wrench, Adequate Llama, and Henborough 88 taking the win there. I think lots of these players, I think all of these players are back to give it another crack this season, and do you think that the fact that they may not have won last season has given them even more motivation this time, Enron?
Absolutely, yeah. Especially if they're going to be in Rising Star again, because the Rising Star skill is going to drop, I think, a bit. There's going to be one or two good players in there still, like GC level players. But in general, I think the average skill in Rising Star is going to drop. So a lot of those players that got close are probably going to fancy themselves even more once they can get themselves onto a reasonable team. And as you know, there are 10 orgs in Rising Star as opposed to 7 in every other tier. So there's going to be a fierce battle there to get into that top 6 for playoffs. And whoever gets the top 2 as well, they're going to fancy their chances with that bye.
Yeah, absolutely, and that's a good opportunity to segue on to sort of one of the main features of this new season, the fact that we've gone from not just having three tiers, that previously it was just All Star, Shooting Star, and Rising Star. We now have a fourth tier introduced, Superstar, which is reserved for the best of the best, the top 21 players in Ireland. We'll be fighting it out there. So I'm just going to bring a couple of other managers into it. I'll start with Lovely Cans. Lovely Cans, how are you this afternoon?
Meh. What happened?
Well,
I'm doing good. I'm doing good. I'm staying at home, doing our bit.
fantastic. So, obviously, you were manager of the Banshees last season. Your sort of crowning achievement was your Rising Star roster, making the final. They were unfortunately defeated at that point. Were you content with how you finished last season?
No, not a hope. No. Uh, there was obvious reasons for the All Star. We won't go into that. Shooting Star team were doing fine until the semi-finals. They kind of slipped up a bit, but they were unlucky not to get to the final. And kind of disappointing for the Rising Star team. They probably could have done better. And yes, there was a few mistakes with the rules happening in the final, but yeah, but looking to win most of the tiers in it this season
Yeah,
for sure.
I'm just gonna jump over to one more manager before we get the draft underway. I'm gonna go to you, Mel. You're obviously one of the new managers coming into things this season, and you're sort of well known around the community. You've been around for a while. Do you think that the fact that you know a lot about the Irish Rocket League scene will that give you an advantage in picking the right players?
Oh yeah, definitely. Now, of course, it can come into account that the players I wanted to pick originally weren't on the sheet when I got my opportunities, but I feel like I did get a good advantage knowing my players, and I feel like I have a really good setup going into this.
Yeah, it's going to be an exciting one. And do you have any expectations really of where you want to be at the end of the season, or are you just going to take it one step at a time?
No, we're winning. Let's be realistic. We're winning.
Well, there are definitely 9 other managers who have that similar level of confidence, and we're going to move into the draft now. We're going to start things off with the Rising Star tier. We're going to start at the bottom and work our way up. To go through the picks with me, it's going to be Enwrong. And yeah, Enwrong, let's start things off.
Yeah, absolutely. So, first pick in Rising Star was the reigning champion and MVP of Rising Star, Wrench, the man from England, I believe it is, not Scotland. I think it's England. So he joins there on the Irish Giants. Poggs picking him up there. The second pick, Rez, was Solo for Satanta, and Mull here in the call with us picked him up as well. The third pick, Dave Forehead. I cannot believe it. How has he managed to get himself into the first round? Mogo, of course, here has picked him up for the Wolfhounds, another new org, beautifully illustrated there by Squid-G and his girlfriend. I have picked up the Season 1 champion and MVP, Big Balls Brown. What a man he is. And Rez, the last one I'm going to talk about here, is Paradox, who has been picked up by the Saints, Ryan. And yeah, that's a really good, I guess, first 5 picks. You can take us through the rest.
Yeah, absolutely. Those are some definitely interesting picks. Moving on into the latter half of the Rising Star tier. SPF was picked up by LovelyCans for the Banshees. Poke with a Stick was picked up by Squid-G for the Celtic Tigers. Krolic was picked up by Aidan to as his first pick in Rising Star. That's for the High Kings. Tony was picked up by Darcy in somewhat of a surprise, but Darcy he's decided to take Tony, a good friend of his. And Bass 00 will be the final pick of round 1 of this draft. And I think one of the interesting talking points that we can take out of this one, Enwrong, is the likes of SPF and Big Balls Brown. Actually, I think particularly Big Balls Brown, one of the top players in Rising Star in Season 1. He managed to move up to Shooting Star, the second highest tier in Season 2, and now he's back down here. Do you think that was a surprise that you managed to pick him up?
Not really. He was playing with Ryan and Ruffs on his team, and that never ends well.
Brutal stuff. So we're going to move on to the second round of picks here in the Rising Star division. First things first, NCannon picked up Donal for Fomorians. Secondly, Dylan is picked up by Darcy in the Fina, a fairly unknown character amongst RLI, but he'll be hoping to surprise this time out. Next up, Nialzo is picked up by Aidan for the High Kings. Renegade picked up by Squid for the Celtic Tigers. Taste Rainbows will join SPF on the Banshees. He was picked by LovelyCans. JP Moriarty for the Saints. He was picked by Ryan. The manager of the Wolfhounds, that's Mogo, picked up Gilzo to join Dave Forehead on his Rising Star team. Aaron was picked up by Enwrong. He's going to join the Season 1 MVP Big Balls Brown. Mull picked up Adequate Llama to join Solo on Satanta. And to round out the second round of picks for Irish Giants, to join Wrench, picked up by Poggs, is Henbro. An interesting round of picks there again, Enwrong. I just want to highlight one. I just want to highlight what Darcy's been doing so far. Tony and Dylan both sort of one of them sort of fairly lowly rated in RLI, and the other is sort of fairly unknown. Do you think that Darcy's hoping for sort of a bit of a surprise factor coming into the season?
Yeah, I was talking to Darcy about it, and he said at land that Mug was going to carry Tony, so he picked up Mug, but unbeknownst to him, he picked up the wrong one. So that's what happened. He was after picking up Dylan instead of Mug. Darcy got it completely wrong, and he thought he got a steal somehow in Rising Star. And yeah, Tony now is left defenseless because I don't think Tony should have been in that first round pick. But Darcy, of course, isn't here to defend himself. He's probably dreadfully hungover at the moment.
Well, I'll let you take things away for the third round of picks. These are the people who have just managed to scrape into the RLIS.
Yeah, absolutely. So we will have 2 subs at the end, and we're going to mention those 2 subs as well if I can actually find their names somewhere. But starting off, first pick of third round in Rising Star, Jake Lone. I've picked him up once again for the Gales. Hiccup has been picked up by the Banshees of LovelyCans. Cobb, not sure what that means exactly, but he's been picked up by the Saints. Ryan. Prepay Pookie, not Cookie, has been picked up by the Irish Giants of Poggs. Sean Moore with an X has been picked up by Satanta, and that's Mulzorg. Flood has been picked up by the High Kings there. Aidan was happy enough to get that one. Zyno has been picked up there by Squid-G and the Celtic Tigers. Loki has gone to Nafina with Darcy. MK, not Pulse MK, the MK who got 0 out of 5 in the quiz has been picked up by the Fomorians and NCannon. And the final pick, of course, has to be Mogo. He's a player manager, and he is going to be the final pick, the buy for his own org, Wolfhounds.
Yeah, so the 2 players missing out, I'm not sure if you've got those names yet, but obviously Hiccup is a player who missed out last season. She was a sub last time out, but she's managed to make it in, and I think that roster's looking a little bit scary with SPF, Taste of Rainbows, and Hiccup.
No, not really. It's got Hiccup on the roster. I'm not really sure why you'd call that scary. It's probably scary because they're probably going to leave the server at some stage, but yeah, I'd be afraid of SPF if I was anyone in this tier in ones, but I think Big Balls Brown wants his revenge.
Yeah, obviously SPF took down Big Balls Brown in the 1v1 that was in the final of Season 1's Rising Star Division, and do you see any sort of... Do you think Big Balls Brown is the titan of this division?
I was surprised he went on the radar in the first round. I know that a fellow manager in this call here who's extremely ill at the moment, a very good friend of his as well, was looking to pick him up, and he was fairly hard done by when he saw that he had just missed out on him a pick before that. I do consider Wrench to be probably an equal, but I don't think anyone else in this division quite stacks up to Big Balls Brown in his level of skill.
Yeah, obviously Big Balls Brown, one of the only players outside of the ones that got split between Superstar and All-Star. Big Balls Brown, one of the only players who fell down, dropping into a lower division. Unfortunate stuff from him. And we're now going to open things up to some questions for the managers. I'll start off with LovelyCans. My first question to you, Cans, is you've picked 3 players that are quite well known around the community. Do you think you played it quite safe with your picks in this division?
Maybe. No, I was surprised that like SPF was left there as well as Triple B, but no, I think I went for a nice balanced team. Like SPF was good at ones, so I took that into mind. But yeah, I'd rather stay to the fact that they're all well known. I don't want like randomers thrown in to the mix, like. But I think I made a good, decent, balanced team anyway, and yeah.
Well, that's interesting, because I'm just going to come next to you, Squid. Your manager of the Celtic Tigers. You picked up Poke with a Stick, who's one of the better players inside of this division. Do you think you got a bit lucky that he was still available coming into this round?
Oh, 100%. Poke is actually a really good player, drastically underrated. I'm actually pretty happy with my other 2 picks as well. Renegade is a phenomenal player. He's been playing constantly since Season 1. He didn't take part in Season 2, but he is very, very good, and Zyno is an underrated player.
Next, I'm going to come to you, Poggs. You've picked up two of the former champions from last season. Do you think they can repeat their success?
To be honest, I'd say so. That was kind of my main motivation behind picking them. Uh, just getting Wrench and Henbo back on the same team after seeing the partnership that they had last season. And I'm definitely hoping that will carry through into Season 3 and make for some good games.
I'm just going to ask you, Mogo, do you think coming
He's
from...
gone.
Oh, he's gone.
Again.
Alright, okay, I'll ask the same question to Mel. Mel, manager of Satanta. Do you think... Obviously, there are two sort of categories you've got to think of when you're making your picks. Do you think that it's more important to go for raw skill, or do you think that chemistry comes into it a bit more?
100% chemistry. Raw skill mainly will come down to maybe in ones, but to have a team to completely take advantage of twos and threes as well, it's all down to chemistry.
Yeah, that sort of answers all my questions. Enwrong, anything to add?
I'd probably go with raw skill in this rank, because a lot of the players don't know how to rotate, unfortunately. So, sorry for those of you in the chat that are there watching, getting your hopes up, listening in. But yeah, I think raw skill trumps it in this rank. I agree with Mull. The higher up the ranks you go, the skill ceiling comes into play more and more, and it'll be little things that'll make a difference. So therefore, chemistry is more important. But at the lower ranks, yeah, for me, it's definitely raw skill, and that's why players like Dave Forehead, for example, finds himself very lucky to be in this tier at all, rather than being a sub.
Yes, certainly some of the players, particularly those in round 3, are going to be counting their lucky stars that they're able to make it in. And I believe Mogo has reconnected at some point, so I will ask him a
I'll
brief.
move him in there. I'll move him in
Yeah,
there. You can
right.
ask me a question.
Right, Mogo. Just a quick
Hello.
question to you. You picked Dave Forehead
Yes.
as your first pick. He's not really renowned for being the most skillful player in RLI. What was your thinking behind that choice?
To be honest, I didn't actually know a lot of players in the league, so I made a fucking list. Oh, am I not meant to curse? I made a list, right? And I just put a Pele MMR on the list, and he was one of the highest MMR on the list, so that's why I picked him.
Fair enough. MMR takes precedence, I guess. And obviously, this is a rising starter. This is where we have the 10 organisations. And we're going to be saying goodbye to 3 of the managers, Mogo, Merl, and Poggs. They don't have a roster in the higher tiers.
Cheers.
Yes.
Is the word you're looking for there, Rez? Yeah.
Yeah. So thank you very much for joining us. Feel free to stick around. If you stay around, I might ask you some questions later. But thank you for joining us. Feel free to jump off.
Mute up.
Yeah.
Or just stick around, yeah. You forgot Aidan, Rez!
Oh, okay, Aidan, I'll ask you a quick question. So, you picked Krolik. Krolik definitely had his hopes up that he was going to be in Shooting Star this season. Do you feel slightly bad for him that he was denied the opportunity to be in Shooting Star?
Well, it depends, really. Krolik, he's a decent player. I was quite surprised to see him fall this far down. Obviously, he made the finals last time, couldn't quite clinch it, but, he did a good job. And I know he wanted to be on the Celtic Tigers, but, that's the way the draft goes. I got to him first. Sorry, Squid.
I like how the little bits of banter between managers is already coming through, and I think we're going to move on now to the second division that we're going to be looking at today. That will be Shooting Star. This is an interesting tier. This is sort of where things start getting a little bit interesting between the between the teams. So, Enwrong, do you want to take us away with the first round of picks?
Yeah, absolutely. Just before we do that, though, Rez, we forgot to mention there are 2 people, unfortunately, who have missed out on being drafted. So they're going to be substitutes within RLIS. So they're not going to be playing, but we just can't guarantee them that they will be playing. Those 2 players are Irish Iniesta and Zero PG. They've gone on to the substitute, I guess, bench, we'll call it. And if a player in Rising Star can't play for whatever reason, they can be called upon to play with them at any stage. So unfortunately for those 2 guys, sorry to give you the bad news there, but we can move on now to Shooting Star, in this case, Rez. And what was your question again, so I can remind myself?
Yeah, so just takes it away, I guess.
Okay, cool. Let's start off then. Okay, first pick up, the Saints. This is probably the most questionable pick of all of RLIS. Ruffs on a 2 and 18 record last season has been picked up again by Ryan for the Saints. Junior has been picked up by myself on the Gales. Fassbender has been picked up by the Banshees. That's Cans there. Royzer has been picked up by NCannon on the Fomorians. Jada Prey has been picked up by Darcy on the Fina. D Lynch. Jada Prey is getting me mixed up there. D Lynch from Celtic Tigers has been picked up by Squid-G. And finally, NNZB Liam has been picked up by the High Kings and Aidan. And those are your first round picks there in Shooting Star.
Yeah, we can already see that this is some step up from what we saw in the division below. All these players fairly well esteemed within RLIS. Obviously, Fassbender is one that steps out to me. He made the finals in Season 1, and he also competed in Shooting Star in Season 2. I think another player that we can highlight here is Junior. He's been out of things for a little while, but he does have good one skill. Was there a particular reason you decided to pick up a one specialist in this division?
Yeah, well, I picked up Junior because he's the best ones player in this division by miles. I mean, like, I couldn't see anyone else that was even close to him. Like, he's not far off GC in ones at the end of last season, and no one else was even Champ 3. So, for me, my decision in this division kind of went more off of, I guess, ones and twos ability, and we'll sort out the threes when we get there, because we can do in-house scrims and stuff like that to sort that out. So yeah, and I think Junior is very underrated as well. He had a very good season last season in the old Shooting Star, which was a higher level, I would say, of Rocket League. So
Yeah, I just want to come back to what you just said. You mentioned that ones is sort of more important than threes in the respect that you can teach threes, but you can't teach ones. Do you think that's somewhat of a unique approach, or do you think most managers have the same opinion?
no, I'm probably unique in that because I can't play ones. Someone just mentioned in the chat the other day I played Junior and he beat me like 8-1. So I know what I'm doing here in regard to picking players for ones because I can't teach them if they can beat me.
Fair enough. Well, we're going to move on to the second round of picks in Shooting Star. To start off, we have picked up by Celtic Tigers, Welsey picked up by Squid-G. We have Lapsley picked up by the High Kings. Dahi picked up by Darcy from the Fina. Darcy seems to be going with the approach of pick all the people who I'm friends with, but slightly washed up. Much love to Dahi. Captain Quark is picked up by the Banshees. I'm sure there was some bribery going on there. Crossy was picked up by the Fomorians. Crossy, unlucky, you're not going to get to play with Jakey or Ghost. Zexel was picked up by the Gales. He's obviously another player who you're a big fan of, Enwrong. And Ryan, obviously the player manager, coming in as the second pick for the Saints. And yeah, some interesting picks there. I think one I want to highlight is Captain Quark. I was actually speaking to Quark yesterday, and he guessed the exact division, the exact team, and the exact manager that was going to pick him. I'm not going to say there was any leaking of picks going on here, but do you think it was just destiny that Quark ended up with on a team with Cans?
I mean, he's been begging Cans here for the last 2 months. Could he be back on the Banshees again? He said, I don't want to be on any other team. I'm not playing if I am. And I think Cans felt sorry for him and had to pick him up here. Isn't that right, Cans?
Yeah, we have some stuff in common. Yeah, we have bull crap internet. Yeah, I think the trees have infected us mostly. But no, I stand by Quark. I think he's a very underrated player. Very.
Yeah, that is one of the things you definitely have to look out for, especially at this level. You want to look for those people who might just slip under the radar of some of the other managers and pick up those hidden gems. Cans certainly hoping that Captain Quark is one of them. Moving on to the third round of Shooting Star here. To start things off, Artemis picked up to complete the Nagales roster. That's Junior, Zexel and Artemis. And that's Enwrong's Shooting Star roster. King Sealan picked up by NCannon for the Fomorians. He's going to join Royzer and Crossy. Seven picked up by Aidan for the High Kings. Redport, one of the biggest shocks, well, maybe not the biggest shocks, but another shock of this division, picked up by Darcy for Nafina. Hasco picked up to complete the terrible trio, or the terrific trio, that's what I was going for, of Ruffs, Ryan and Hasco. Geno picked up to join Fassbender and Captain Quark under the Banshees, and Squid-G as the player manager will be in Shooting Star. Some certainly interesting picks there. Enwrong, what do you think of the Redport pick?
Let me go back to my notes. So, Redport has played in 2 seasons of RLIS. Okay. No one else has a record of 10 wins and 32 losses in RLIS across 2 seasons. No one comes even close to that. All right. No one's even like below 30% across 2 seasons of win rate. Reports down to 23.8% win rate. This has to be the most questionable pick I think I've ever seen in any sort of draft ever. This is, I'm not sure what Darcy was thinking, to be honest with you, but he got 2 good picks in his first 2 rounds, so maybe they can do something here. But for me, Darcy has been smoking something very, very strong because I think this is a disastrous pick in my opinion.
Well, we are going to bring the managers into things now. I'll start off with you, NCannon. Your picks, Royzer, Crossy, and King Sealand. Royzer and Crossy, both players who haven't really been around RLI all that much recently. Do you think you're taking a bit of a gamble by picking both of those?
Yeah, I mean, I like a lot like Rising Star. I didn't know a lot of the players at all, so I just went based off their previous seasons in ranked. And as far as I can tell, they're all, decent Champ 3 players. Some having reached Grand Champ a few times as well. That's pretty much what I based it off.
Yeah, that's some decent assumptions. I'm sure you'll be hoping that Crossy can reverse out of the escape roads in Baku.
That's an F1 reference for anyone who doesn't realise. Anyway, continue, Rest. It's actually Ghost who's down the escape road. He never came back. Go on.
Aidan, I'm going to come to you next. You picked up Liam, Lapsley, and Seven. Some interesting picks there. What was your thought process behind all those?
Well, I'd sort of done a bit of scouting before this. I played with Liam in ranked. From what I could tell, he was quite a competent player, sort of playing to my level, so I thought that was a solid first round pick. I'd seen Lapsley play in previous seasons, quite impressive, so that was a good second round pick. And Seven, I know he's quite active in the Discord, so I was trying to pick people that had, good schedules and could, get the games ready, and that just vibed with the team.
You said that Liam played up to your level when you played with him. Do you think you got lucky that he's this low down in the tiers, do you think?
I think so. I think he's quite a hidden gem. Not a lot of people might have heard of him. I've seen him in looking to play quite often, actually, trying to find teammates, trying to get more involved. So, yeah, I think he's got a good mindset on him, and we can do well this season.
Well, I'm going to come to you next then, Ryan. A nice quick one. You picked Ruffs and Haskell, 2 people I know you're definitely friends with. Do you think that sort of the fact that you're good friends with them held a large bearing on why you picked them?
I don't know if I would consider me and Haskell to be friends, but it certainly helped with Ruffs. And as Rob alluded to earlier, he was looking at ranks. If he looks at Ruffs ranks, he'll find that this man has just hit his peak of C2 and 1s, and he's better than ever and ready to go.
Interesting stuff. Squid, I'll come to you next. You picked up D Lynch and Wellesley to join you on the Shooting Star roster. Was there a particular reason you went for them?
Well, it's questionable that I'm actually in the Shooting Star division, just to start off. But I think D Lynch and Wellesley are both very good players. I've checked their stats and stuff, and they seem like really good people, and they're really good at 2s and 3s. I'm going to need as much help as I can get in 2s and 3s, so they're the best picks I could have got, really.
Fair enough. And lastly, Cans, I'll come to you. You picked Fass and Captain Quark, 2 players who, well, one has been fairly consistent, one has been on the rise recently, that being Captain Quark. Do you think that Quark can continue his rising throughout RLI?
Oh, definitely. I think the 2 of them are going to be looking for revenge anyway, because they probably might have slightly underperformed last season, but there was always, glimpses of what they can do, and I know they can beat most of these teams. Geno, I have no clue who he is. He's a constant player, so that's dodgy already. But looking at his ranks though, like he, high C3, so maybe he was the missing link. Like maybe Jar Ryan was the problem. We don't know.
Forget about it.
Yeah.
Well, we'll certainly see what that's in relation to later. Enwrong, I just want to get your opinion on your own Shooting Star team.
Yeah, so Junior and Zexel are both very competent 1s players and very competent 2s players. Zexel won Shooting Star last season. I know he was the weakest player on his team, arguably. Junior could have beaten Zexel. They could have won the semi-final, but they lost. They got reverse swept, I think it was. So I picked up two players that were both really competent in the old Shooting Star, which was a much higher, I think, well, I had a higher peak level of skill anyway. And Artemis for me, although he may have struggled last season in Shooting Star, that was mostly down to Joe McGarvey and his terrible Rocket League skill and always being at the pub. Artemis is competent in threes. I obviously worry about his ones and twos a lot, but I'm sure he'll grind them out, at least the twos, because as Excellent Junior, will obviously be my boys for the ones.
Certainly, I think we can both agree on this that Shooting Star is definitely looking quite a bit more competitive than it looked last season. I think that's just come as a result of the volume of players that we've had coming in. Do you agree with that?
Yeah, absolutely. Yeah.
Well, we're going to move things on to the All-Star tier. This is where it gets competitive. These are going to be the top 42 Irish players viewed by the managers, and I can't wait to get this one going. Let's get this one going, Enwrong.
Yeah, absolutely. Will I take it away, Rez? Should I take it away?
Go for it.
Okay, cool. First pick in All-Star is Colin, 17. He's been picked up by Ryan for the Saints. The second pick, I had to pick him up. It was Jakey, 50. What a man for the Gales. Elite Spartan has been picked up by Squid-G for Celtic Tigers. Linsk has been picked up by Darcy for Nafina. Cans obviously is a player manager. So too is Aidan, and so too is NCannon. So they're all the guys in the first round there is.
Yeah, some interesting rounds coming out there. Obviously, some of these boys will be quite disappointed because they have just missed out on the top superstar tier. I just want to highlight the pick of Jakey that you made. Do you think that he's been sort of retired from the game almost recently? Do you think that he can bring back to his former glory?
I cannot believe he's in All-Star. I couldn't believe it when he went under the radar, to be honest. I mean, I was considering him as a second-round pick in Superstar. I played with him the other day, and he's just as good as he was, to be honest. Like, he can play easily to 1900 level. He's insane. I've no idea how he ended up in All-Star. And as soon as Colin got picked up by Ryan, I jumped on that. There was no way he was going by. So, yeah, he's still really good. He'll make, no matter who I could put around him now, he'll make that threes team infinitely better. And, yeah. Just a sound man, like, you know.
So,
he's always crashing out though.
So, do you think that you're going to have an advantage, considering that you know quite a lot of the players who sort of might go under the radar in the regards to other managers?
Yeah, absolutely, and you're going to see that with the second round pick now as well.
Well, I'll get you underway with the second round pick. First things first, Epics was picked up to join LovelyCans on the Banshees. Lucra was picked by Aidan to join him on the Hikings. Mull, a disappointing form from him. He was definitely hoping to get into Superstar, and perhaps, arguably, he deserved it. But he's going to be a second round pick to join Linsk, but on Nafina. Ghost was picked up to join Elite Spartan and Celtic Tigers. The dynamic duo of him and Jakey will be lost. Trix was picked by NCannon to join him. Orange, who was formerly known as Pat Dot, will join Jakey on the Gales. And in a shock turn of events, the dynamic duo wasn't broken up, as Wazzle will join his good friend Colin 17 on the Saints. That is a very exciting duo, don't you think?
Yeah, absolutely. That's probably the best duo, I would say, that you could have possibly got. I think they're better than Jake and Ghost as a duo. Colin and Wazzle have been playing pretty much since they got out of their mother's wombs, so they know each other very well. They go to the Debs together, they go to the schools together, they do everything together, and Ryan has picked himself up a really strong team here, in my opinion. I would like to point out NCannon's pick here for Trix. This has to be one of the most questionable picks I've ever seen in a draft as well. This is up there with Darcy's Report 1. NCannon, can you respond as to why you picked Trix as your second round pick in All-Star?
Yes, I can, Rob. Looking at his stats, they might seem a bit underwhelming if you're looking at, comparing to the other picks of that round. But they're not that far off compared to the, ones that were slightly above it. And I was also pretty happy with his ones rank, and also last season getting GC in pretty much every game mode apart from ones. That's true. But I also know he's a bit more active in the Discord, so I wanted, some people that might be more willing to engage,
to play with you and grind and stuff. Yeah, fair enough.
Cool.
Exactly. Right, Rez, I'll take it away, shall I, with round 3, the final round of All-Star.
Go for it.
Cool. So first pick up, My Parable has joined Waz and Colin on the Saints, and that makes a formidable roster there, managed by Ryan. Barzy makes All-Star as well. He joins Trix and NCannon on the Fomorians. I picked up Ja Ryan for the Gales. Gitsy King has made All-Star with the Celtic Tigers there with Elite Spartan and Ghost. Naylor has made All-Star. His wish has come true. Unfortunately for him, it's not the top tier anymore. Naylor, learn how to drive. He's with Aidan and Lucre there on the High Kings. Makambe is on the Banshees with Cans and Epics. And finally, Dormer makes it onto Nafina there with Linsk and Mull. So, Rez, a lot of spicy ones.
Yeah, well, both the duo of Gitsy and Naylor has parked themselves up, if you will, in the All-Star tier. Unfortunately, it's not the top one anymore, as you said. Some certainly formidable players in there. I don't think there's too much of a skill drop in the third round of picks in this division. Obviously, your pick of Ja Ryan may surprise a few people, considering there were a few other players left on the board. What was the reason for picking them?
Ja Ryan's quite good at ones, and there's one flaw to Jake, and that would be his one skill, I'd say, and he gets tilted very easily. I know Orange. Orange is the only Grand Champion player from last season, as far as I'm aware, in ones in this tier, so I picked him up there as well. When I watched Fassbender that Quark and Ja Ryan playing, it looked like we had two headless chickens on the field, one of them being my brother and the other one being Fass, and Ja Ryan was the only one who looked like he could hit the ball. So for me, I felt like Ja Ryan could make a step up, and I wasn't that impressed by the other players in this tier. I've seen Gitsy play enough now. He tilts. Naylor, he's parking, reversing a lot. I couldn't get my Parable. I don't believe in Makambi. Barzy, I'm not sure is ready for this level. And Dormer, I don't want Dormer on a team where I'm going to be shouting at him because he's my mate. So.
Yeah, well, we're going to take things over to questions now. First things first, I'm just going to go to LovelyCans because you said, while we were going over the shooting star tier, that you didn't think that Jerome was ready to make the step up. Do you still have that view?
I never said a thing like that at all, Rez. What are you putting words in my mouth? I'm not saying that. What are you on about?
Well, okay, right. You said that
No.
Captain Quark and Fast were the shining light of last season's The Banshees team. And
No,
you
I didn't.
alluded that Fastbet or the Jerome.
He must have been watching a different semi-final to me, so.
No, like they were all questions. Like Ja Wright is good at probably was the best out of the three of them in ones. Like that's probably his biggest strength. His twos were sometimes dodgy, sometimes good. It was a bit questionable. Like and threes, like it was kind of solid enough. But yeah, but he was gone before I was there. So, but yeah, I'm kind of scared of Rob's team because of Jakey. I don't like playing against. I'm actually shitting myself. Sorry, apologies, but like I'm really scared of that. And I bet Waz in ones, like, so it's all right. That crap, it's all right.
Well,
But I am scared about my own team. I see Epics in the chat just moaning, saying, "Why me?" And
Well, I can tell you, Epics. We'll reveal it afterwards where everyone was in the original draft before we called it quits. But yeah, Riz, back to you.
yeah, well, I just want to raise a quick question with Mulholland. Obviously, you were touted to be one of the top players in All-Star, if not borderline going into Superstar. Are you a bit upset that you missed out on it?
No, definitely not. I don't believe I could get into Superstar. That tier is full of 2K gamers and 1900 gamers. I don't really feel like I'm at that level. I'm happy that I'm in. I feel like I'm in a nice level for myself, to be honest. And my teammates are two cracked individuals. So honestly, I couldn't complain. I'm pretty gassed to see how the season goes.
Yeah, the season definitely is shaping up to be an interesting one. There are a few sort of unknown elements in this division. Obviously, Elite Spartan, he's, I believe, a top 100 Xbox player, which is quite impressive. Orange, who has been in and out of RLI over time, and we haven't seen a lot of him recently, but apparently he did reach 1800. Obviously, Ghost and Jakey both coming back to Rocket League recently. They both found their way out of the escape roads in Baku. And obviously, Aidan, I want to ask you a question. You sort of got to shape this team around you. You were the first pick, so do you think that the fact that you were playing on the team influenced the choices of Luke or Naylor, or was it solely based on skill?
No, I think playing around me definitely influenced my picks. I quite like playing with Lucre. He's fun to play with, nice in comms. I was quite surprised to see Naylor fall this far down. You know, he's the season 1 and 2 shooting star champion. So
Terrible.
yeah, all right, Rob. You can say that all you want. You did get 1 out of 5 on the questions, but He's not
Yeah,
bad.
you can't even answer the question. How can you rely on him to rotate, man? Have you seen him play Rocket League? Come on.
I
Man.
have seen him play Rocket League, and he's a pretty good player, and I stand by that decision. I'm happy to have Naylor on my team. He's a good third-round pick.
Well, there's certainly some competition going through, particularly in the All-Star ranks. Squid, I'm not sure if you're still on your break from work, but if so, I do have a quick question for you. You've picked up Ghost and Gitsy King, two players who are renowned for a combination with getting a bit tilted and getting a bit toxic. Do you think that's a bit of a risk to take to get two sort of explosive players on one team?
Not a chance. They only get annoyed because their teammates are shit. Their teammates in this one are fantastic, so they're never going to get annoyed and they're going to outshine everybody else.
Yeah, so some confidence there. Just a quick shout out, nearly almost pro. Thank you very much for the sub on Twitch. We appreciate those. Last question. I'm gonna go to you, Ryan. You've picked up Colin and Wazzle. Those are sort of a duo. We see them around all the time together in RLI. Do you think that it's really important to get a good duo in RLIS?
Yeah, I think having a duo to play twos is a lot more important than having skill. And I also think Waz has to change his profile picture. That's it.
Yeah, so obviously you do have to remember, especially in the draft, that it's not just a 3s league, it's not just a 2s league, it's not just a 1s league. It is a combination of all three, so you want to pick players that are good at multiple different game modes. And I don't have any more questions. Enwrong, are we ready to move into the promised land of Superstar?
Yeah, just one final thing that I want to mention. Thanks very much there to Nearly Almost Pro for subbing to us there on the Twitch. Thanks very much for that. We really appreciate that, and kind of helps us grow as a channel, and all the funds go back into tournaments whenever we do get the first, I guess, block of them, which is I think when we had €100, I think we get for access to it. So yeah, thanks very much for the sub. That is really appreciated there from you. Yeah, let's get straight into Superstar. So Rez, do you want me to take it or shall you?
We're back.
Go ahead, take us away.
Cool. First pick of Superstar, no surprise. Rob Kiernan is picked up by the Banshees. Cans got the first pick there because his team was terrible last season. The second pick of Superstar is Shallow. I've picked him up there for Nagales. The third pick, Red Eyes, of course, the man with an amazing win percentage rate in All-Star in the last few seasons, which has now become a Superstar of 81%, has been picked up by Ryan. Adzer, been picked up by the High Kings. They're managed by Aidan. Ryan has been picked up by Squid-G. That is not the Roy Boy. That is Ryan Dot, as in the one from Gigabyte LAN. Mogo has been picked up by Darcy for Nafina. And Walshy has been picked up by NCannon for the Fomorians. And this is an absolutely stacked tier of Rocket League players, I have to say.
Absolutely. The level of this division is absolutely incredible. This is the highest level of competition I think we've ever had in the entirety of RLI, the likes of Rob Kiernan. He hasn't signed up for a lot of RLI tournaments, but I know he's sort of top 40 in the world in 1v1, which is an incredible feat. Do you think it's fair to say he was deserving of the #1 pick?
Yeah, I think so. You could have given it to any of the top 3, in my opinion. To be honest, if Rob Kiernan was there for me, I would have grabbed him as well, probably. But he did lose in 12 Titans, so if Ineffable was there, I'd say he would have been picked up first.
Yeah, I just wanted to ask you a quick question about your pick, Shallow. Obviously, it's a very stacked round 1. It's difficult to pick between the top players. What was the thing that sort of swayed you in Shallow's direction?
Wait, sorry, was that for me again? Because I'm
Yes.
too busy looking at the chat, because people are abusing me. Shallow, why did I pick him up? Shallow's really good. I think he's absolutely insane on defense. And when you play with me, I need defense. So I think that's an important reason to pick up Shallow, to be honest. Shallow's insane on defense. He's probably the fastest growing player in RL in Ireland at the moment, like, is in the most improved player since he came around into the community, other than Rob Kiernan. And for me, it was a no-brainer. I really did think about Red Eyes. I had a really long think about it. Like, I really did consider it, but based off of how I played with Red Eyes in the past, I didn't think it would work. We kind of clash with our styles of play. I said I'd try it out with Shallow, and Shallow, like, says his weaknesses are like being motivated and stuff. He often puts up tweets complaining about the sauce not working today and stuff, and I feel like I'm the kind of person that can, like, relax him and make him play better Rocket League. So yeah, hopefully that will work for us.
Well, let's certainly hope you can relax the sauce, as you say. in this
Sounds
season
very
of RLIS. We're going to move on to the second round of picks. These are still some very impressive players. And to begin things off in the second round of picks of Superstar was Panda. He made it in as the 8th pick. He's going to join Mug. And that is a very scary duo. Two incredibly strong players who were arguably both worthy of a top tier spot. Next, Pengu was picked up by NCannon for the Fomorians. Another formidable ones player to add to their repertoire. LTX Sam was picked up to join Ryan, but on the Celtic Tigers. Mayday was picked up to join Adza on the High Kings. That was a choice made by Aidan. Arctic was picked up by Enwrong, his former teammate back on NSG. He's going to join Shallow on the Gales. Little Dude, a bit of a surprise there, picked by Ryan. He's been moving up the ranks quickly recently. And Spectre, an up-and-coming star, or he's already shown what he's made of. Recently, he did incredibly well in the 12 Titans, and he's definitely a formidable character. Don't you agree, Enwrong?
Spectre, yeah, absolutely. He made quite a good run in 12 Titans. But based off of what some players said about his 3s and 2s ability, I'm not sure this was the best pick that Cans could have made here, but maybe Cans, you can reply with that.
No.
You can't reply.
No, I'm just not gonna reply because that's a lot of nonsense by go away from me.
Okay, fair enough. But yeah, I'm pretty happy with the balance of my team because I was considering, that the two guys had to play with me. With Spectre and Rob Kiernan and who they have as their third, they're going to be absolutely devastating as a trio. The other teams have really good duos and stuff. You could look at Mug and Panda, but when you look at their third, they're going to be struggling, I think.
Yeah, absolutely. Quick shout out to Hasko for subscribing with Twitch Prime, and we're coming down to the last 7 picks of the RLIS draft. It's been a long one. Enwrong, do you want to take us away one more time?
Yeah, absolutely. Jaffa is first up for the Saints. He completes the roster with the duo that won last season of Red Eyes and Little Dude. Demox joins the Banshees, Rob Kiernan and Spectre. That's a terrifying roster if I have to say so myself. Jo joins Walshy and Pengu. Of course, Walshy and Jo, of course, decided to walk out in Season 1. Let's hope they don't do that again, otherwise they will be walking out of the server as well. Rez, you, of course, are joining Adzer Mayday on the High Kings. Matt Thew is joining Ryan and Sam. The latter two there having the chemistry, Sam and Thew from Ballymena Land, of course, and the Celtic Tigers. And obviously then we've got the 2 player managers, Darcy and myself, on Nafina and Nikhil's.
Yeah, I think there's this one thing to note, that there does seem to be a couple of outliers. Just have a look. You see, especially in the third round of picks, you've got Demux, you've got Tiu, and you've got Jaffa. And then things do start to drop off a little bit. Do you think that could be a deciding factor in this division?
Probably, yeah. In 3s, anyway, at least. Jaffa and Demox, I rate quite highly in 3s, at least. The rest of them, not so sure. That's including myself. I don't know if the rest of us will be able to keep up those 2 rosters. But on the flip side, Little Dude is there on the Saints roster, and although Red Eyes was able to, I guess, backpack him, some would say, last season, I'm not sure that'll happen this season because the standard is way higher this season. So I'm not sure what Walshy just said there in the chat. If someone can let me know what he just said so I can take corrective action against him, please let me know. But yeah, there's some scary players in this all across the board. There are some great duos, as we mentioned, but 3s is the main game mode, so a lot of people were thinking about that as well. So yeah, it's going to be interesting.
Yeah, we're going to go over to questions now, and the first thing I want to say is, Aidan, why in the name of all that's holy did you pick me for Superstar?
Well, Reginald, I believe that you're actually not a bad player yourself. You've had some questionable picks in the previous seasons. Obviously, you won season 1. Spreadsheets. That's actually a great reason, Rob. Good segue. Yeah, I need someone to fill out the spreadsheet and get all the information together that you're requesting. So I think the best player to do that is yourself. Yeah.
Stay at home.
Well, okay, right, Cans, I'll come to you next. You have picked some one superstars for your superstar team. Do you think that you're guaranteed ones wins across the board?
No, I wouldn't say guaranteed, but for once I actually kind of thought about ones for a while. like Rob Kieran probably would be the best ones player in the whole league, but Shallow and Red Eyes, maybe Ryan on their day, anything can happen in that. But I think I would have to say I would have the strong ones player, and probably the strong threes. Don't know about twos because there is a lot of twos duos like Monk and Panda for instance or something that could be very dangerous. So, but I'm overall happy. I'm really happy with the superstar.
Ryan, I'm gonna come to you next. You picked Little Dude as your second pick in Superstar. Arguably, your third pick of Jaffa is sort of held in a higher regard amongst people in RLI than your second pick. Do you think that Little Dude's a bit of an sort of unknown star?
I think arguably, if you pull up Jaffa's profile, he doesn't have a RLIS winners title under his name. And that's no disrespect to Jaffa, but I mean Jaffa was also still available, so I would have had both of them either way. And I do think Little Dude has been disrespected a bit. I think he's quality across all three game modes, and I think I've got myself 3 Great Ones players as well.
Are you hoping that his internet can hold out throughout the season?
I don't think he even needs internet, to be honest. The hotspot will do.
Fair enough. Enwrong, you next. You picked Arctic, who was formerly your teammate back on NSG. Do you think he's the perfect sort of candidate to join you in Shallow?
Yeah. If I remember right, where was Arctic in the picks exactly? 1 second, I'll tell you there now. My logic behind it. So after him was Spectre and Little Dude, and then we went into the third round. Yeah. So I already had a ones player in mind, and the ones player is going to play 4 of the series, and that's going to be Shallow. And I didn't really need another ones player, and Ross is okay at ones. He's not great at it. He won't be a world beater, but if he has to play more ones games than me, then that's great. I wanted someone that was really good at threes. The only other player that I saw that was like exceptional at threes, in my opinion, under pressure was Dmox. I played with Jaffa last season. No disrespect to Jaffa, cracks a little bit under pressure. Spectre is not a good threes player in my opinion, and Little Dude, of course, I didn't really rate in threes either, and his internet issues as well, and everyone below that wasn't really up to scratch with me. So Ross has won a LAN, he's won 2 LANs. People disrespect Ross all the time, and they need to stop disrespecting him because he's clearly up there for me. And yeah, I wanted a really good 3 team to surround myself with 2 players that are excellent on defense. So yeah.
Now I'm gonna go to you, NCannon. You picked up Walshy and Jo, 2 players who aren't particularly well known for having good chemistry. You're hoping that they can sort of put their past behind them for this season?
Yeah, I mean, again, stats-wise, Jo was the obvious pick. I did know about there being a bit of, tension between the two. But again, I think it's very easy to just put it behind you and play some very good Rocket League together.
Fair enough. Cans, I'll ask you another question. Rob said
Roger.
earlier that he's focusing on threes for his picks. You obviously seem to actually care about ones for once, which is a surprise. What do you have to say to Rob's comment that threes is the most important?
Oh, I completely agree. Threes is the better game, and ones is a stupid game and it needs to be banned. But like I do rate my team to be a solid threes player, like solid threes team. Sorry. Yeah, the Spectre might, he mightn't rate Spectre that much, but we have to wait and see. I think if he hits 1900 or 1800, he obviously is good. Like so, but I think.
Well, that's the
Dmox-
low end of this tier, though, wouldn't you
Shut
think?
up.
I mean,
No.
and you picked him in the second round, so
Yeah, well, look, whatever. But I think Dmox will be the gel that kind of holds them together. Personally, I think Rob Kieran will go off to his own thing, or whatever. Spectre will be there as second man, and Dmox will be there on the back bar.
Fair enough. Right, last
We're
things
winning.
last.
We're winning.
Last things last. I'm going to come to Squid. You picked Ryan, LTX, Sam, and TU. Obviously, as Rob mentioned earlier, LTX, Sam, and TU players who played together alongside each other at the most recent LAN. Do you think chemistry there is going to be important?
Oh yeah, 100%. That's why I picked them. Everyone's like sleeping on them at the minute, but trust me, they'll do really well.
Fair enough. So, that is going to conclude the draft. We're going to go over to just opening up for some general conversation. of expectations for this season. If anyone wants to start things off with what they expect to happen this season, go ahead.
Walshy and Jay are going to lead the server.
Alright, okay, right. Let's go off that point. So, Walshy and Jo predicted by Cans to leave the server midway through the season. It's certainly not an outlandish suggestion. Do you feel perhaps bad for Pengu that he's going to be sort of stuck without a team for the remainder of the season?
No, not really. I mean, I don't know. Sorry if this was directed towards NCannon or not. Sorry, but for me personally, I don't think this will be a problem at all. That was just kind of fake beef.
Nah, that was just banter.
That was just more beef with Trix, because Trix is just incompetent in every way, shape, and form, and that's why he shouldn't even be an all-star. Don't mind ever being a manager, and that was a huge mistake by me. But if Jo can be on time for once and not be extremely vague with everything he does, I think that team will be fine. Pengu's an exceptional twos player. He's probably one of the best twos players in the Discord, and with Walshy on his team, they're going to absolutely slap around in twos, but in threes, they're going to be a little bit maybe below. We'll see.
I just want to talk briefly about the Nafina roster. Obviously, as Darcy is too much of a coward to show up to this draft. Let's talk about his team in a bad light, shall we? So, Mug obviously took a fairly long break from the game recently, and Panda is known for being a bit of a freestyler. Do you think that team could be slightly overrated?
A little bit, yeah. Mug played terrible in the All-Star final this season. One person in particular, a staff member, decided to ask and say, I think he should be MVP. I don't know what game you were watching, man, but it looked like I was watching the grand final from Ballymena again, to be honest. Mug's a great guy, but I don't think they're as good as they think they are. I think Panda's probably the strongest player in that team, in my opinion. Mug's still very good, of course, but I don't know. They'll be really solid in twos. They'll be excellent in twos, but it's gonna be tough, man. Like, I hope Darcy does it. Darcy's my boy, but he can't fast aerial, so I don't know.
Right, okay, Mull, I'm just gonna ask you a question. You've been sitting loyally in the cool this whole time, so I'm just gonna direct a quick question at you. Obviously, seeing all these lineups pan out, and you're obviously not involved in this division, do you think that there's one team that really stands out as being on top at the moment?
Personally, I'm gonna have to go with the Shallow, Arctic, and Enwrong. I feel like Shallow's a superb ones player, so that's one's ticked off, and then you have the three duos, and Rob is really good at keeping up with paces, and then you have Arctic and Shallow, which are definitely 2K gamers. I feel like the Gales are gonna have a good start going into this.
Well, let's go through the managers that we've got in the call now for final comments. Aidan, I'll start with you. Do you think that picking me will be enough? Do you think I will be?
Wow, you've so much narcissism. Just keep going on about you every time you ask somebody. See, what about Adzer and Mayday, man?
Okay, right. okay, then. Aidan, do you think Adzer and Mayday are capable of carrying me through the season?
Nice paraphrasing.
Yeah, definitely. Maybe. Compared to some of the other teams, I think I've actually got quite a solid roster. Looking at the likes of Celtic Tigers there, I think sort of that's
You
the most
can shut your
comparable.
mouth.
I'd say that's the one of the weakest teams of the lot anyway. I think Adzer and Mayday are good enough individually as well as in a team to take you through it, yeah.
Good. I'll just go down the order. Enwrong. Next up, you were touted by Mull to be the favourites going through the season. Do you agree with that assessment?
Well, I don't personally agree with that assessment. I think we'll make the top 5. I don't know who will struggle. I would have to assume that the Banshees will make top 2 just based off of the roster that they have, and if they don't, I'll be very surprised if they don't get that bye in the playoffs. But I think we can do a good job. Depends what the Sauce is feeling. If the Sauce isn't feeling it, then we're in trouble. He's a bit bipolar, so we have to keep him happy. I disagree with Aidan's comments on the Celtic Tigers being weak. Ryan is superb at all game modes. Sam is good at 2s and 3s, not necessarily 1s, but he's decent at it. And Matt is a very solid 3s player to have, and he comms really well. And he plays a very orthodox rotation, which will suit Sam because Sam can't rotate. So yeah.
Next, I'll go to you, Cans. You have picked a very formidable lineup. Do you think that the fact that your lineup is arguably the strongest on paper, do you think that will carry over to the pitch?
Hopefully. Like, I am looking to get top 2 with this team. If we don't come top 2, then it probably will be a disappointment. I disagree with Rob saying, like, he's going to get 5th. Because he always plays down his team or himself, like, and he always over-exceed his expectations. So I think I'm looking for a Banshees and the Gales final. Definitely. But
Well,
I think that could be a good spicy final now. Weakest, I don't know. It's hard. I would have to say it's a toss up between. I'm gonna say Saints and Tigers. Yeah, weird, isn't it?
very interesting. Ryan, I'll
Yeah.
go to you next. Do you think that the fact you picked Red Eyes, do you think he's better than Rob Kiernan or Shallow?
I've never seen Rob Kiernan play 2s or 3s, so I can't really comment on it. And I was surprised that Rob didn't take Red Eyes. I was kind of expecting to get Shallow. Obviously, not complaining. Red Eyes gonna Red Eyes. He's gonna do a 3-peat.
Yeah, Red Eyes looking to become a 3-time champion of the RLIS. Finally, Squid, I'm going to go to you. A couple of people have said that you're one of the weaker rosters in this division. What have you got to say to the haters?
I completely disagree. Obviously, that's why I picked them. Sam and Theo as a duo are going to be incredible. So anyone that doesn't have any form of synergy are going to be clapped. And Ryan is obviously a cracked gamer, so we'll see how it goes.
But can Ryan fix the team that lost to the mighty Samsara?
Yeah, you do realize you lost to a guy who had 6 hours in off when you get landed.
Sam's cracked, mate.
I don't know. He's a bit questionable all of a sudden.
He's got a cracked
know.
beard at the moment, yeah, because he doesn't shave
What?
it. But other than that, that's about
Sam
it.
has a beard.
Man, he's got stubble or whatever that
General.
thing is in his face.
Not in general.
Yeah.
Well, that is going to close things out of the RLIS Season 3 draft. I'd like to thank the 2 people who subscribed today. I'd also like to thank Enwrong and all the other managers for joining me on the desk. I'd also like to thank Squid-G, who made the graphics for this stream, and also a massive shout out to Squid-G's girlfriend. Check her out at Little Blue Art Studio on Instagram for making all of the new team logos. Massive shout out to her. Thank you all very much for watching. We're in for an incredibly exciting season in RLIS.
Her name is Sophie, Rez.
Sophie, there you go. Thank you very much to Sophie for making all of the logos. Massive shout out to everyone who joined me today. You've been watching the RLIS Season 3 draft. Thank you very much for watching, and goodbye.
Doctor.